Welcome into the NFL opening line report for Monday, October 26th. I am Drew Martin, joined by Teddy Covers each and every Monday, the NFL opening line report. Thank you for joining us. Teddy Covers at Teddy_Covers on Twitter. Welcome in, buddy. How you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty crappy. I didn't have a great weekend. My big play yesterday was on the Patriots. Let's just put it that way. Although I stole one back last night with Arizona. But anytime you're that wrong, your game's over by halftime, and that's your big play. It's, A, it's embarrassing. B, you're never in a good mood the next day. So it is what it is. I'm okay this Monday. How are you, Drew?
I'm doing good, Teddy. I mean, college football was good. Hit some big ones. NFL, little middle of the road, I would say. So, transparency. That's what we're a part of here, Teddy. And you can't win each and every weekend, right?
No, I mean, look, one thing that I'm never going to do, I'm never going to blow smoke up your ass. I'm never going to say, oh, I did something that I didn't do. When I lose, we talk about it. When we win, we talk about it. I was annoyed at myself yesterday. I felt like I missed some low-hanging fruit. That being said, there was a lot of games yesterday where, and we'll talk about them, where, if you're on the right side or the wrong side, it's, it landed tails,
Yeah.
If you had the Browns yesterday, how do you feel? If you had the Falcons yesterday, how do you feel? Or, I don't ever like to lose wrong sides. Okay. But in some ways, like psychologically, it's better to have a game that you're like, okay, this game's totally wrong. They had to lose it at the last second and rip your freaking brains. Like, whatever. You had Seattle last night, game-winning touchdown. Oops, penalty. Oops, interception the next play. I mean, there was a fair bit of insanity yesterday. And we haven't even talked about the Saturday night the World Series game, which was as crazy a baseball game as you'll ever see. But nonetheless, look, Monday morning, what do? You try to learn from the stuff that you screwed up with. You try to make sure that the bets you're going to make this coming week are solid. And you have to put stuff in the rearview mirror, and you have to be able to make your adjustments. And we'll talk about, again, as we get to some of these games, I made some big adjustments off of yesterday. In my powering numbers, sometimes to make sure I don't get myself on a team like the Patriots, like I've got the Patriots power rated wrong. We have to power rate them correctly. But whatever, we'll go through with the teams. Dallas was like that, where when when the bottom falls out, you have to be able to say, all right, the bottom's fallen out. The bottom's fallen out, and make if your numbers were wrong. I'm not going to make a non-injury related 3-point line adjustment, and I made a non-injury related. As far as Dallas, the injuries are significant. But I made a good handful of big adjustments after yesterday's games to merit what we've seen the last couple of weeks.
Teddy, you said a lot. I agree with a lot of it. The power ratings adjustment, that's kind of what this show is all about. Not only where the opening lines are, but where they're going. The correct entry point throughout the week when betting the NFL. You threw out the World Series Game 4 there, one of the best baseball games I've really ever seen, especially holding a Rays ticket. And we got the World Series going on as well. So it's just a really busy time for sports bettors. But Teddy, busy isn't always a bad thing, because it's a lot for the odds makers to do as well. I mean, how do you factor that in your overall kind of sports betting handicap? Just so much going on.
Well, I mean, normally at this time of year, we got NBA coming too.
Yeah.
So it's actually lighter right now. And with baseball, there's one series, one game. There's the maximum of 2 games left. I mean, it really is NFL and college right now. And to be able to focus exclusively on NFL and college at this time of the year, I know it's a busy time, but it's not insanely busy. The issues that were, certainly with college football, you have teams that haven't played, that are just coming in, teams that have played, but they haven't played in 3 weeks. There's no college football bet you can make. I'm looking at the number and saying, all right, yeah, that's a bad number. Every college football game involves digging right now. Because you have to, every single one. So in terms of the amount of work that you're putting in college, 3 times what you're going to do in a normal season. It has to be done. Because you can't look at a team on Saturday and say, oh, well, I'm going to have that team again this week. But for the NFL is what it is. This is something, the markets are what they are. They don't change dramatically from one year to the next. The league itself, even with the games being canceled, postponed, the product itself is still what we're used to seeing. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel when it comes to the NFL. The NFL handicapping, the methodology has worked well for a number of years. I'm not going to overthink it or overchange it just because I didn't have a great week this last week.
No argument here, Teddy. And guys, we got to get into the Monday Nighter and then, of course, the opening line report. Shout out to the chat box. We got Abby, Robert, Johnny Outlaw, our friend here, Lance, Luffy, Jake, all you guys. Welcome in, Guitar Rat as well. More than I can even name. Really appreciate you joining us live here, guys, each and every Monday, 10 a.m. Pacific time on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. Also, wherever you're downloading your podcasts at, the Sports Memo podcast. Teddy, we got the Monday Nighter tonight. 475-476, 5:15 p.m. Pacific kick here. Chicago at the LA Rams. We're seeing Rams -6, 44.5 being the total. Any quick thoughts on the Monday Nighter?
So I'm not involved in the game tonight. I think you can make a decent case for the under. These teams met each of the last 2 years, and we've yet to see more than 24 points scored in either of the two meetings. Certainly there's a couple of quarterbacks that don't necessarily react well to strong defenses. And if you're asking me about what the strength is of the Bears and what the strength is of the Rams, both those teams right now, clearly their biggest strength on the defensive side of the football. So I guess they have a slight lean towards the under. I also have a Ralph Michaels angle that's worth talking about here. Again, fairly briefly. All right. No, it's not. Actually, it's not an angle that flows into this game. So I'm going to leave it on the side. I thought it did. But it doesn't. But it was a pretty strong angle. But it doesn't play because the Rams were not home favorites last week. They were in San Francisco. So never mind.
That works, Teddy. Well, we got the opening line report here. We got Thursday Nighter, October 29th, 5:20 p.m. Pacific kick here. 101, 102, the rotation number, guys. Atlanta at Carolina. We're seeing the Panthers 2.5-point home favorites, 50 the total, Teddy.
Yeah, so, and I thought you made a really great point at the top of the podcast, talking about this isn't about picking games. This is about process, all right? And that's the goal of this podcast, is to understand the process. How do we come up with these numbers? Where do we see the lines moving, and why do we see them moving in that direction? So we use the same format every week to stay with the process, all right? The process here is we talk about the look-ahead line. These are bettable lines from last week on these games before the week 7 games were played. So we can see what kind of adjustments the markets have made off of a single performance from the two teams. I'm also going to give you my powering number for the game. We'll talk about what the market number is and where it's moved already in early betting action. So Thursday night, look ahead line, Carolina 2.5. Powering number, Carolina 2.5. Open 3. Now sitting at 2.5. So I do think we may well see some under money here. It's already from 51 down to 50. If you watch the Falcons play yesterday, number one, their defense, a goal line stand from Atlanta. I haven't seen that a whole lot from this Falcons team. They're better defensively. They've been notably better defensively in the 2 games since Raheem Morris has taken over. And Carolina, they're going to play slow. They played a 7-drive game yesterday. Okay. Still went over the total, but they're not a team that wants to push pace by any stretch of the imagination. I would anticipate under money coming in. I'm not seeing it in the market, so I hesitate to emergency betting alert it, but I can smell it. I can feel it. Under money is going to come on this one. If you like the under, get down on the 50 right now.
And Teddy, you said a 7-drive, like 7-possession game?
Yeah, each team has 7 possessions.
Wow, man. Now you don't see that very often outside of service academies.
Yeah, it's the long, slow drives. And now that I'm saying that, I think I might have gotten the teams or the game wrong. I had 7 possessions, but
okay.
I'm almost sure it was that one.
No, I was just making sure because that is very, very low. Normally seeing not very often anyway. We see 7-possession games.
No, it was really low. But so Carolina does not have a good defense. All right. The Saints were always in third and short. They couldn't get off the field on third down yesterday. Saints started 11 of 12 on third downs, which is a problem. But you also wonder about Atlanta's mentality. Raheem Morris's quote after the game, talking about when Todd Gurley didn't fall down at the 1. Quote, it was talked about right at that moment. We knew that was going to be kind of their ideal choice for us to get in the end zone. They could have a chance to go down there and score. So we wanted to take a knee on the one, and he obviously tried, and he fell into the end zone on the last second there, getting tripped up a little bit. Gurley talking. I was trying not to. My momentum took me in. It's kind of crazy. It's one of those unfortunate situations. plenty of those situations my rookie year, 6 or 7, and I've always got down. It was an unfortunate one out there, but it's a Falcons team that, has now lost fourth quarter leads 3 times in 6 losses. It's a hard team for me to ask to do a whole lot right now. Carolina certainly with a better mentality of the two. I've been a little bit surprised at how much Atlanta money has come, but the markets have been high on the Falcons throughout their struggles.
And shout out to the chat box Degenerate in England. Welcome. Also, Jose in Mexico City. Let us know if you're watching from anywhere really cool, either on Twitter or Wager Talk YouTube channel. It all works. This is the NFL opening line report as we turn to Sunday's card here, November 1st. Welcome to November football here. 10 a.m. Pacific kick, 251, 252. Indianapolis at Detroit, 50.5 being the total here, Teddy. We're seeing it -3 pretty much across the board. There is a 2.5 out there. That's the Colts laying on the road.
Yeah, the look-ahead line was -3. My powering number is -2. And the market's open 2.5, and they've moved pretty steadily to the 3. There are still, you say there are some 2.5s. I'm seeing a good handful of 2.5 still available on my Sports Memo Live odds screen. That said, they're all with juice.
And mostly in the offshore market.
Yes, absolutely. The offshore world is more 2.5 than it is here in Las Vegas. I'm trying to think if we got Vegas is pretty much entirely a 3 right now. You're absolutely right, Drew. So in terms of rushing to the window with Indy, not necessarily. We are seeing a little bit of under money for this one. Look, the Lions defense 2 weeks in a row. They have stuffed the run completely. This is the defense that could not stop the run at all. And now, all of a sudden, they are. Indy's defensive numbers are through the roof. There are questions that the markets believe those numbers fully, but certainly from a statistical standpoint, the Colts defense has been impressive as any in the NFL this season. And I would anticipate we would see, we saw some under money yesterday. Some sharp under money for Detroit. I wouldn't be surprised if we see more. If you like this under, again, 50.5 available right now. I'm not convinced it's going to be there. There's some 51s with heavy juice to the under, but I'd rather lay -110 at 50.5 than -127 at 51.
Teddy, we got 253, 254 up next. Also 10 a.m. Pacific kick here. Minnesota at Green Bay. We're seeing the Packers -6.5. There is a -7 at South Point. 55 being the total here, Teddy.
Yeah, the look-ahead line was 6.5. My powering number is 6.5. It was 7 last night, and now 6.5 this morning. There's the public books. This is likely to close 7. The wise guy books wouldn't be surprised at 6.5 all day. If you like Green Bay, I don't think this line's getting steamed under, and I wouldn't hesitate to lay 6.5. If you like Mini, I wouldn't hesitate to grab the 7 right now. It's one of these games that could bounce back and forth between the two, and either side you can get. You get -6.5, -110, or +7, -110. I think those are solid bets to make on Monday morning, whichever side you prefer. It's Minnesota coming off the bye, coming off a particularly ugly loss, and then trading defensive veterans going into the break. Those are somewhat concerning. It's a rematch, of course. The last time these two teams met, the Packers did whatever they wanted to offensively against the Vikings. That was back in week 1. That game ended with 6 consecutive touchdown drives, each team scoring 3 touchdowns in the second half after Green Bay laid it on early. And, Devontae Adams was a monster yesterday. 13 catches, 196 yards, 2 touchdowns. But the Packers injury report continues to be problematic. Aaron Jones may not play. David Bakhtiari obviously didn't play yesterday. The secondary missing a couple of starters. That said, the Packers pass rush was as good as it's been all year in yesterday's ballgame. 13 pressures, their season high, and that's perhaps a sign moving forward. Green Bay is a team for me that I made a significant adjustment up. Even though I bet against them in the Tampa Bay, the way the Packers responded to that loss yesterday stood out to me on both sides of the football. And Green Bay right now is power rated as high as any team in the NFC right there with Tampa Bay.
Good stuff, Teddy. We got the AFC East coming up next. Guys, reminder, it is $9 Monday at both Wager Talk and sportsmemo.com. All plays discounted to just $9, plus the fact the play doesn't have to go on Monday. It can go throughout the week, so check it out. Monday is a great time to check out both websites, Wager Talk and sportsmemo.com. And also remember Tuesdays, $2 Tuesday at both sites. So heading back to the AFC East here, Teddy, we got New England at Buffalo. Really interested in your opinion on the Patriots. You talk about their power ratings, 44 being the total. We're seeing Buffalo -3.5 or -4 across the board.
Sure. Look ahead line was 3 on this game. I crashed my New England power rating because I didn't want to put myself in a position where I was seeing New England as value on that team. So I did intentionally, and I'm a little bit going to be off market until proven otherwise in the Patriots. My powering number here is 6. The markets, were 4 last night. It's what are we looking at? More 3.5s than 4s this morning. I can't anticipate where. So I mean, there are issues with the Bills right now. Clearly, defensively, they got their first interception by a member of the secondary yesterday. It came on an awful throw. It's not like they're getting great play from the secondary. The pass rush hasn't been there, and they've been gashed on the ground. And the offense has looked, let's be honest. Yesterday, 0 for the day in the red zone, where they 0 for 5 in the red zone, 8 field goal attempts against the Jets. The offense has looked out of sync every week since they had the switch and who we going to play this week. And they played a Tuesday game and a Monday game and then a Sunday game. The run game's not working. The offensive line's not opening holes. Josh Allen's pretty freaking good, and Jerry Hughes was a monster yesterday at defensive line. But for the Patriots, that's the bigger issue here is what we saw yesterday was embarrassing. They did have some injuries during the game. They're without Shaq Mason, and then they lost their other starting guard, Joe Thorney, midway through. N'Keal Harry got hurt during the game. Right now, their top receiver is Demary Byrd. Okay. Cam Newton looks washed. Newton was awful yesterday. His quote, "I've just been pressing. The energy has definitely been off for me. And at times it's not rewarding when you're just going out there with this aura about yourself that's not you. I love playing this game. I have fun playing this game, but the performance haven't been delightful for me. A lot of things start and stop at that position, and I put this team in a rut with the performances here." Of course, he got benched yesterday. I don't think it made a whole lot of difference. Devin McCourtney, interesting quote. You don't ever want to come out there and get embarrassed the way we did. Of course, he's a captain. He's been with the team since 2010. He's a rare veteran presence on a team that doesn't seem to have a whole lot of that right now. You don't ever want to come out there and get embarrassed the way we did. And there's no excuse. We have to go out there and play to keep jobs right now. I know Coach Belichick, the Crafts, they're not feeling a team for us to go out there and play like that. So we have to prove in a hurry. New England hasn't lost 3 games in a row since October 2002. Okay. They have no receiving core, no quarterback, no offensive line. The defense is starting to give up. I've lost my last bet on the Patriots this year, or at least until proven otherwise. Like I said, my powering number higher than the markets for this game. And sure, it's a New England spot. I'm not convinced New England's any good. And what we saw yesterday, and again, it's not one game. One game you say, all right, pay attention. When it's the second game where your team just gets smacked and is non-competitive, it's one thing to lose at home to Denver and say, all right, that was a bad game. It's another thing to lose at home the next week to San Fran to be non-competitive. I could not crash my Patriots power rating after that. It was the type of loss that stunned me, and I don't get stunned that often.
Yeah. I get you, Teddy. So it's wait and see, and you only want to be one way on the Patriots. Teddy, a lot of guys in the chat box pointing towards the under here. We've seen it open at 46 down to 40, even as low as 44 now. Any strong opinions there?
Yeah, offshore it opened 46. Here in Vegas, it opened 44.5, and we're looking at 44s. I certainly wouldn't argue conceptually with the under. Although the Bills aren't an under team. And I know they cashed unders yesterday, but they didn't score any red zone touchdowns. And the Bills' offense is pretty good, and their defense is dicey, and they're not a team I'm in love with unders. But on the other hand, the Patriots probably are an under team because the offense doesn't work, but I don't know their defense is working either. It makes sense. I would lean under. We've certainly seen some market move in that direction, but I'm not sensing for sure that it's going to go. I don't see it getting lower. I'm not seeing any market indicators that this line's about to get hit again to the under. So I don't know if there's urgency there for under bettors on Monday morning.
All right, Teddy, as we move on here, 257, 258, the rotation numbers up next. Tennessee at Cincinnati. Teddy, this one's fascinating, mainly because of their straight up and ATS records here. Talking Cincinnati Bengals, 1-5-1 straight up, 5-2 against the number, whereas Tennessee, pretty much the exact opposite, 5-1 straight up, 2-4 against the number. So this is an interesting one where to kind of price point this. And sure enough, we've seen some movement so far in the marketplace. We're seeing Tennessee now as high as -6 road favorites, 54.5 being the total.
Yeah, so the look ahead line here was Tennessee 3. My powering number was Tennessee 5. It opened 4.5 last night, total of 54.5. And this morning, as you mentioned, the money for the Titans 5.5. Slash, there are even some sixes up there right now, both here in Vegas and offshore. Some of that has to do with Cincinnati's injury report. I think a lot of that might have to do with Cincinnati's injury report. That and what happened with Carlos Dunlap and Geno Atkins yesterday. But they lost 3 starting offensive linemen in that ballgame. Jonah Williams hurt his neck. He didn't come back. Where are the other guys? I know I wrote them down. I can't. They lost. Bobby Hart got hurt as well. Joe Mixon didn't play. So Burrow, he had a heck of a game for playing without an offensive line. But we have to be concerned about the Bengals offensive line moving forward. And then you have a whole offseason thing where off-field thing, I should say, where Carlos Dunlap basically gets benched. And then after the game goes on, puts his house up for sale on Twitter. But the interesting thing is the A.J. Green quote. All right. Listen to this, because he's not involved, but he's a veteran on the team. Quote, I know a lot of the people are frustrated with whatever is going on, but at the end of the day, we're a family. So we've got to keep all of this in-house. That, to me, is one of those can't we all get along quotes. I worry about what's going on behind the scenes in Cincinnati. I think the markets are too. And that's why we've seen the money come on Tennessee. And A.J. Brown's a difference maker for the Tennessee Titans in that passing game. We saw that yesterday where A.J. Brown, taking one to the house yesterday off a short throw. Good rally from behind from the Titans yesterday. That team, again, Derrick Henry was completely shut down for a half. Didn't matter. They kept feeding him in the fourth quarter. Derrick Henry's making plays. And I know he didn't have a monster game against Pittsburgh's defense. Cincinnati's defense is not Pittsburgh's defense. The one concern about laying a price with the Titans, we've seen this from the Bengals. They have a lot of come from behind in them. We've liked the Joe Burrow mentality, and Tennessee's came into the game yesterday allowing 58% conversion on third down, worst in the NFL, and then they allowed the Steelers to convert on 13 of 18. So Titans defense right now is a little bit spotty, which may make this point spread. I don't like laying more than a field goal on the road with a bad defense. That's why we bet Arizona last night. It came through. Bad defenses laying 3.5 plus on the highway. Can't get there. And Tennessee's defense right now is pretty spotty.
Yeah, laying points on the highway with a bad defense, Teddy, leaving that back door open, always scary as a sports bettor. And guys, huge shout out to the chat box. Different locations, Teddy, watching us. We got Israel, multiple places in Mexico, Cancun, Mexico City. We got England, we got Amsterdam. So all over the world right now, Teddy. Really cool out there in the chat box. Not to mention Iowa, Nebraska, New Jersey, everywhere in the United States, which is great as well. So great to see the growth of the show, guys. And if you're liking the content, please smash the like button. If you're watching on replay as well, feel free to leave a comment below. Love reading those, and we'll respond with any answers we can help you out there. Any type of sports betting question is welcome. Teddy, next game we got here, 259-260, our Las Vegas Raiders on the road at the Cleveland Browns. We're seeing Browns -2 in the hook at home with some juice on that number, mostly 54.5 being the total, Teddy.
Yeah, look ahead line here was Cleveland -3.5. My powering number, Cleveland -2. The markets opened 3-56 last night, and we're looking at 2.5 and 54 this morning. I'm not getting the sense this is necessarily going to go right back up to 3, especially given the OBJ injury. where he's out for the year. And the fact that the Browns defense, couldn't get stops yesterday. And that's supposed to be a defense better than they've actually looked so far this season. All that said, Browns offensive line dominated the game yesterday against Cincy. Remember, Baker threw a pick on the first throw. OBJ's back in the locker room. He missed his first five first five pass attempts. And then Baker goes, 21-21.
Yeah.
However many touchdowns, playing with a crack rib. That's the offensive line dominating the game. All right. It's also the mentality. Quote from Kevin Stefanski following the game. And this is, again, one of these quotes that you kind of look for. I'll tell you why in a second. He's such a competitor, he doesn't give up. He didn't back down. Every time I looked at him on the sidelines, he had that steely look in his eyes. And I know it sounds silly as a bettor. Sometimes you see, I remember LeBron is the guy when they're locked in and they have that look in their eyes, like bet on in game, whatever it takes. Baker Mayfield really brought it yesterday, and I was very impressed. But he was protected in that contest. And the Raiders had a rough game. The final score not indicative of how that score was 24-20 in the fourth quarter. Well, maybe it was late third. But the Raiders were right in it. Things fell apart late. And, Gruden was furious that they didn't play. The game wasn't moved, which it should have been. It was for all the other team. They may well have the offensive line back in practice all week. Miller and Good and Hudson and Jackson all had to isolate last week, and they're all, I think, will benefit from some additional practice time. But of course, they did lose Sam Young, who's Malcolm Brown's replacement or Trent Brown's replacement in the second quarter of yesterday's game. That may leave that offensive line shorthanded here. The line, closed the game with two backups and a third stringer, trying to protect their Carr, which is a big part of the reason why we didn't see that Raiders offense work so well in the second half against that good Tampa Bay D. But again, the early money here has come for Vegas. I'm not convinced. I'd rather take Cleveland at plus 2.5 right now than lay a price with the extra juice with getting the Raiders at 3. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see this game close 3. So if you like the Browns, 2.5 right now are available, widely available, and you can do it. I'm trying to. Yeah, there's. Here in Vegas, you can do it without juice, extra juice. Not just in Vegas, Jersey as well. William Hill's got it at 2.5 minus 110. So does Circa. Caesars is minus 15. So there's the South Point's at minus 2.5, minus 110. So there are 2.5s minus 110 out there. If you like the favorite, it was not going to hurt you to lock in at that number.
Okay, is that a doodly-oop or?
It probably should be. We should doodly-oop that.
Okay,
yes, Cleveland.
Doodly-oop.
Yeah, Cleveland's not going to hang at 2. I'm not convinced the Browns are going to hang at 2.5. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see the line go to 3 or higher. If you like Cleveland, let's doodly-oop, bet it now. Minus 2.5. That's your emergency betting alert on a Monday.
Emergency betting alert on the Cleveland Browns minus 2.5. Look for it out there, both Vegas and offshore right now. Doodly-oop, Cleveland minus 2.5. Teddy, we got a quick Las Vegas question for you. I believe UNLV Nevada is this Saturday in Allegiant Stadium. Limited fans. Do you think we'll be able to go see the Raiders here soon in Allegiant Stadium?
I don't know. I honestly haven't paid any attention to it. And
okay.
If they let fans in, it'll be 5,000 or 10,000. It'll be season ticket holders. It'll be small. I'm not a season ticket. They want to. A buddy of mine wanted me to chip in and get a seat license for like $50,000. I'm like, no, dude,
I know.
I'm not interested. Thank you. So I got no season tickets. But I would for a casual fan, it's going to be difficult to see a Raiders game this year.
All right, Teddy, let's move down the line here. We got 261, 262 New York Jets at the New York Jets at the Kansas City Chiefs here. We got Chiefs minus 19 in the hook at home, 49 being the total. Teddy minus 19.5 points here against the New York Jets, 0-7 straight up, but they covered this past week, 1-6 ATS. So you have any interest here in plus 20 points almost with the Jets?
We could doodly-oop here too, because this was 21, and the wise guys are never going to lay 20 points in the NFL. They'll always take a plus 21. They'll do it automatically, and those were gone. Look ahead line was 21. My powering number is 21. The The market's open 20.5, 21, and 48 last night. But it's not going to hold there, and it didn't hold there. It's already down to 19 in a lot of books, 19.5. Now, could it come back the other way next weekend? Maybe. I don't know how many people are going to lay 20 with Kansas City. If you can find a 20 out there right now, and if you want 20 with the Jets, I would take it because that line, like I said, is not going to hold. And the Jets had led for 16 minutes all season. And yesterday they led for 21 minutes in the first half alone. By far the best effort of the defense for the season. They cared. When you force 8 field goal attempts without giving up a TD, you're doing something right. All that said, second half pass yards, Buffalo with 170, the Jets -3. Loggins was the calling the plays yesterday instead of Gase. And, here's what Sam Darnold said, about the new play caller for the Jets. Quote, "We have to adjust to their adjustments better. The Bills brought pressure and we couldn't handle it. We have to beat man coverage and protect. I have to throw accurate footballs. That's it." That's not throwing the new play caller under the bus, but it is. Here's another one concern. Linebacker Terrell Basham. "We can't divide. The offense needs us. They need our support. They need our energy. We're a team." All right. Basically, when you see a quote like that, it means the locker room is dividing. Avery Williamson, quote, linebacker, "We're not going to have the mindset of being scared of anything. We're going to try to go in and take care of business against Kansas City," which means that the Jets are going in there knowing that they're hopeless in that ballgame. KC became the first NFL team this season to score a touchdown on offense, defense, and special teams. When the Chiefs are scoring on offense, defense, and special teams, on defense and special teams, that's really bad news for the NFL. They went 0 for 8 on third downs and scored in the 40s. This will be a sharp score divide game. The Joes will be on Kansas City. The pros will be on the Jets. The line, again, 19.5. It can only go down. It's not going up. So if you find a 20 still with New York and you want the Jets, knock yourself out. Worth noting, did you see the snow yesterday in Denver?
Yeah.
How'd the game finish? Did it go under or over? Over.
Okay.
Way over. And this is one we got to remember this. I'm mad at myself for not thinking of it ahead of time. It's not wind. It's not rain. Snow totals always go down, and snow defenders always get gashed. All right? Snow totals, we're betting these games over. We had another kickoff return yesterday in Kansas City, Denver. You see the kickoff returns in the snow. There's only been 3 all year. The snow helps the offense as long as the wind isn't blowing. KC's pass defense is really underrated. They get after the quarterback. Did it again yesterday. That's a good defense. Kansas City right now, it's the best team in the league against the worst. You know where the action's going to come.
Yeah, Teddy, talking about those overs, man, I like where your head's at. And what put you onto that? I've never really heard that before. Just snow helping the over, because a lot of people out there say like rain can help overs. I'm not of that camp, but because the wind usually comes with rain and helping the under. But even if it is raining, I like the unders. But snow, always you look to be betting the overs.
And so this is from experience. And I guess when I remember it was a Lions-Eagles. Total opened like 54. And there was a blizzard in Philadelphia. And it was, was it 0-0 at the half? I think it was 7-0 at the half. Okay. And I got the best of the number. The total moved 10 points. There was 6 inches of snow on the field. And the second half, every defender was so gassed from trying to run in that snow. You know what it's like when you're trying to walk in the snow. It's different when you're walking in inches of snow. You have to lift every leg higher. When you're 300 pounds, by the second half, it was like handoff, touchdown, kick return, touchdown. So I remember that game, and it's got to be, again, like 2013 or something. But that game stood out to me in such a way, I'm like, oh, my God. And then I pay attention to these. And then I forgot it last week. I didn't use it last week with the snow. I just talked about the under. And then as I'm watching the game, I'm like, I'm an idiot. You bet overs in these.
Yeah, I like that, Teddy. And the next game up, fascinating handicap as well, because we got changed at the quarterback position here. 264, 10 a.m. Pacific kick here. LA Rams at the Miami Dolphins. Limited marketplace with the Rams playing tonight, but we are seeing Rams -3 in the hook with a 49 being the total at the Westgate. And of course, the Dolphins, making the change here, Teddy, at the quarterback position. As a Dolphins fan, not sure that I agree with it, but they are going to go with Tua, even though Aaron Donald is likely going to be lined up right across from him. So welcome to the NFL, Tua, and this should be a good one. Rams -3 on the highway.
So look at line, Rams -3.5. My power rate number, Rams -3.5. The markets right now are Rams -3.5. I had a long, I'm not going to say long, I had a long discussion with myself about what to do with the Dolphins power rating. Mm-hmm. And I decided to leave it flat, to not downgrade from Fitzgerald to Tua. And our initial gut reaction was, come on, Miami, you're playing good. Well, Fitzgerald's got no reason to be benched. Why do it? It has to be a downgrade. Does it, though? Tua's pretty good. The rookie QBs are doing pretty good. Not like the Chargers got worse with Herbert, Mm-hmm. Not like the Bengals that struggled with Burrow. And Tua's got a pretty special skill set. Significantly better than his kid brothers. Sorry, that goes back to Saturday college. Yeah. If you watch Maryland, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That was embarrassing.
Against Northwestern, yeah, that was a tough one.
What Northwestern didn't do anything. Maryland was like, here, get a touchdown. Here, get another touchdown. Tua's kid brother was a starting QB for the Terps, and I thought he won the job. But in fact, the other QB had lost. That's why Lockseed wasn't announcing a starter, because no one won the starting job. Nonetheless, Tua has the potential to be, again, we don't know, but the fact that it's a 500 team and the coach is like, you know what, let's try the rookie, even though the veteran's playing really well. Mm-hmm. Maybe Tua is good. But where this, if the Rams look great tonight, if the Rams lose tonight, this could come 3. Even then, I think it comes 3.5. But if you like the Bears, maybe you take some Dolphins with it. It's not one of these that there's a clear, this is definitely what's going to happen with the line if the Rams look good. Because I still haven't gotten a sense of what the markets are doing with Miami right now. But again, 3.5 is the number, 3.5 to look at, 3.5 is my power rating. So it is what it is. That's with, again, no adjustment. I did not adjust at all between Fitzpatrick and Tua yet.
Yeah, and Teddy, I mean, it's a fascinating handicap, mainly because, talking about the LA Rams here, -3 in the hook, I could see it come -3. It's a short week on the road across the country, different time zones, all that. Plus the fact Miami switching the quarterback here. And you say, Tua is good. Yes. Statistically speaking, you could make the argument he's the best college football quarterback ever in terms of passing efficiency. Now, granted, that came with the Alabama roster protecting him and who he's throwing to. So it's kind of hard to gauge, but with that short week on the road across the country, I could see this coming -3.
Yeah, so but the markets don't know what to do with Miami coming out of the bye, and I don't anticipate we're going to see a ton of market support for the Dolphins in Tua's first game. Okay, what if the Bears look good and the Rams don't? It'll be back-to-back losses for the Rams, but LA's been so good on the road, and they've been so good in the Eastern time zone.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think it comes 3. I think it comes 3.5.
Okay, so we got Jacksonville, LA Chargers up next, but I believe it is canceled, Teddy. So just skip that.
Game. Yeah, that's no game there. The Chargers are playing the Broncos this week.
Okay, so moving down the list here to the 4:30 Eastern kicks, 125 Pacific, 267, 268, the rotation number, guys. New Orleans at Chicago. Of course, with the Bears playing tonight, limited marketplace, but we are seeing the Saints -3, mostly actually -2 in the hooks with juice on the road, 46.5 the total at Westgate.
Yeah, if you see a 3 on the Bears, grab it now because the Saints, they won yesterday. There are issues with the Saints. Look at line was 3. My power rating is 1. The market's open 3, and it's 2.5, 3 this morning. Total of only 47. Saints, so they didn't have Michael Thomas or Emmanuel Sanders last week, and I don't know if either one's going to play this week. You had the Drew Brees' weapons were undrafted rookie receiver Marcus Callaway. And Alvin Kamara was a monster. He's had 5 straight games with 100 yards from scrimmage, the longest streak in the NFL. That may not be easy to do in Chicago conditions against the Bears defense. Saints lost the left tackle, Terran Armstead in the first half. His backup got beat up pretty bad. Yeah, this was a 7-drive game. I was right about the Panthers Saints being the 7-drive game. That's where I put the note.
Okay.
Sean Payton, quote, look, one thing we know is the games are going to be played. All right. There's a couple other teams dealing with some pretty extreme adversity, and honestly, no one else outside your building really cares. So I'm proud of how our guys focused and found a way to get the win. Again, 6 starters out of the lineup. They've rallied from 14 down to Detroit. They've rallied from 23 down 23 against the Chargers, and they did it again, yesterday, where they're, fighting. But the Saints aren't elite right now. They're a pretty good team. I've got them power rated a good notch 2 down. And again, my number for the game is only New Orleans -1 in Chicago. Weather could be a factor here as well. Breeze outdoors in November, not the same as breeze outdoors in September.
All right, Teddy, another afternoon start here. San Francisco at Seattle. We're seeing the Seahawks -3 at home, 54 the total in this one.
Yeah, this one's going to 3.5. Doodly-oop, doodly-oop, doodly-oop.
Doodly-oop, doodly-oop.
Yeah. If you want Seattle, get your 3 right now. And I know that San Fran's looked good the last 2 weeks. Boy, the offensive line was great, just grinding out first down. And once again, we're going to talk about, let's see, this is what Todd Gurley did for you. He cost you the game. Jeff Wilson, example number 5,000 of why you never pay running backs any money ever. The undrafted out of North Texas. He had 51 rushing yards into the first game, coming into the game, and he was dominant yesterday. Some guy that you're not necessarily familiar with, you're not necessarily expecting to have success at the NFL level. Running backs, you can't draft them, you can't pay them. Shanahan's quote, Kyle Shanahan, when you play defense the way that our guys have been playing, like we're running the ball like we have been, just how physical all our guys have been playing. Every play, it seems like it's the last play for our guys. I'm very impressed with the character of our guys individually. I'll give San Fran some credit. That was a surprising game plan for me, and they were absolutely dominant on both sides of the line of scrimmage. Their defensive line ate up New England. Their offensive line ate up New England. And it's hard to lay points to the Seahawks. I mean, look, since the start of last year, all right, Seattle's played 22 regular season games. 17 of them games have been decided by 1 score. All right. They lost yesterday. They're still 14-3 in those games. They win these. They find ways to win, but they don't often win by margin. Now we're getting Russell Wilson off a multi-interception game, but you're also getting a team off an overtime loss. And it's a Seahawks team that entered Sunday night having allowed the most yards through a team's first 5 games since the 1950 Colts, and they gave up another 500 yards last night. They didn't even get a hit on Kyler Murray last night, let alone a sack. These are issues. That being said, I do think this line's going up to 3.5. Based at 49ers injury report. Again, they're missing 19 contributors. Multiple Pro Bowlers, multiple starters. I know they played well against New England. I think that against Seattle, the Seahawks coming off the loss likely to get the market support. And again, there were 3.5, 4 last night, and then it was 3 this morning, and I do think we go back to 3.5. If you like the Seahawks, bet it now. Find a -3. You can find them at -110 still if you have outs. And that is a bet that I don't think will be available later in the week.
He's Teddy Covers on Twitter at Teddy_Covers. I'm on Twitter at Drew Martin Betts. Feel free to reach out, guys. Any questions, comments on Twitter or here on YouTube, simulcast on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. If you're watching on replay, feel free to drop a comment below. Teddy is 200 and 157. That's 56% in the NFL since week 1 of 2015. So over the long term, guys, beating the NFL betting markets at a 56% clip. Not many people at all doing that at all out there in the handicapping business. We got 271, 272. The Sunday nighter up next, Teddy. Then we got 2 write-in games for Sunday as well. So we got Dallas at Philadelphia in the NFC East. We're seeing a limited marketplace here with 43.5 being the total, Teddy, and -3 in the hook for Philadelphia at home.
Yeah, and I appreciate the 56% NFL, last 5+ years. I appreciate it's been solid. We've made money, but I lost last week. It's like, it's not, you're like, oh yeah, long-term. What'd you do for me lately? And that's, that's the world we live in. And I accept that. That being said, it's Monday morning. We're all 0-0 for this week. So There's no line on this for Dallas Philly. Look ahead line was 3 after the issue with Andy Dalton yesterday. We don't know what the Cowboys are going to do. My powering number is Philly 6.5, and even that may be short. Dallas was a quit team yesterday, and when it's back-to-back games where you're a quit team, when you have a first-year head coach that nobody seems to like, when you have a defense that's not getting stops, they've been outgained 5-1 before halftime. Your team leader, Zeke Elliott, all right? Zeke Elliott last week, he had the 2 fumbles. This week, Zeke Elliott, head not in the game, screen pass. Yeah, it was slightly off. Tips into the air, boom, interception the other way. When your veteran leader isn't bringing it, and yeah, he's playing behind 4 backup offensive linemen now. 51 yards from scrimmage on 13 touches for Zeke yesterday, and his caused interception. Yeah, Ben DiNucci. Do you remember Ben DiNucci at Pitt? I remember Ben DiNucci at Pitt. I remember betting on him one time. He made Nathan Peterman look good. He was Nathan Peterman's backup. Okay.
And he made the NFL, huh?
Yeah, well, it was a 7th-round pick out of James Madison. You can find somebody that can throw the ball a little bit. But Dallas is unbackable for me right now. Here's McCarthy, quote, disappointing loss, disappointing division loss. I've stood in front of this camera too many times and spoken about the basics. We just haven't put together yet. Unfortunately, the injury with Andy. And of course, Dalton was 9 of 19 for 75 yards. He'd taken 3 sacks and lost a fumble and had an interception before he got hurt. Okay. Andy Dalton wasn't winning that game for Dallas yesterday. All right. Go back to the McCartney quote. Unfortunate injury there with Andy. Obviously shifted us to a different direction, obviously, but it's not what you're looking for. We need to be much better. We're running out of time. Not with my money. And again, we don't have a market for this, but I wouldn't be surprised at all to see my number's 6.5, 7. I wouldn't be surprised to see Philly open 7.5. The markets will crash on the Cowboys, especially. It doesn't matter. I'm hoping Dalton plays because the markets won't crash as much. Dalton is not a capable NFL starting quarterback anymore. He's not a capable backup quarterback, therefore, either.
Teddy, we got 2 write-in games, given the 2020 scheduling here with the pandemic. 275, 276, LA Chargers, Denver Broncos. We're seeing the Chargers -3 on the highway, 45 being the total a mile high.
Look at line, pick 'em. My powering number, Chargers 3.5, and the markets are kind of moving. So this was Chargers 1.5 last night. Earlier this morning, there were 2.5s out there. They're gone. And you can understand why. Chargers are the best 2-4 team in the NFL. They don't do anything easily, though. That's the problem. Justin Herbert, the rookie, has the number 1 passer rating in the NFL on 3rd down. All right, the pass rush there. Joey Bosa was a beast yesterday. They had special teams nightmare. Badgley missed an extra point. He missed a field goal. They had a punt blocked. But they dominated the line of scrimmage. Great short yardage defense. A couple of huge stuffs on 3rd and 4th and 1. They solved their 3rd quarter woes yesterday with 3 touchdowns. Herbert, again, the number 1 passer rating in the NFL on 3rd down from the rookie. There are things to like about the Chargers. The markets are right there. And again, you look for the quotes that concern you. Obviously, Denver yesterday against KC give up 40 points. The Broncos or the Chiefs didn't convert a 3rd down. All right. They had a turnover on a flea flicker. They had Melvin Gordon had a bad. It was, the defense played well. The secondary played fairly well. They gave up 40 points. Drew Lock after the game talked about how some of the defensive players were a little angry after the game. Shelby Harris, Bradley Chubb. Quote, there's a position, they play a position where there's a lot of anger involved. They have the credibility and the right to do this in the locker room. They have a right to express their feelings without a doubt. And the right to tell someone straight to their face, you need to pick your shit up. And if they were to come up and tell me that, I wouldn't mind. Locker room in Denver looks to me a little bit dicey right now. Locke's got 4 picks in the last 2 games, and none of them been good. They have the Chargers, the Falcons, the Raiders, and the Dolphins over their next 4. This is their one chance to maybe make something out of this season. But they've scored 1 offensive touchdown in the last 2 games. The money's coming on the Chargers already. I wouldn't be surprised if we see more. From a betting market standpoint, again, there was urgency 2 hours ago. there's no urgency right now. The market's already at 3.
All right, Teddy, in the second right-in game here, a good one, 281, 282, Pittsburgh at Baltimore. We're seeing the Ravens -4 at home, 47.5 being the total.
Give me some doodly-oop.
Doodly-oop, doodly-oop.
Doodly-oop, doodly-oop, doodly-oop. If you want the Steelers, get them now. Those 4s aren't going to be there. There were 5s out there. They're not there anymore. Look at line was 6. My power number is 3.5. The market's opened 5, 5.5 last night. It's already down to 4. And I mean, they're really 4.5, and the 3.5s are popping. From a power rating standpoint, Pittsburgh's getting some respect. You can't run on that defense. You just can't run on that defense. And we talk about Baltimore's got to pass to beat you. That's it. All third and shorts for Pittsburgh. They opened 8 and 9 on third down. They scored 25-plus points in every game. Roethlisberger, a lot of quotes after the win yesterday where they kind of fell asleep in the second half and were lucky to hang on. All the quotes are already pointing towards Baltimore. Mike Tomlin, thankfully our guys didn't blink and were able to hold together and make enough plays to subvert a victory. Not a perfect product, we understand that, but I appreciate their efforts. We have bigger fish to fry moving forward. Ben Roethlisberger, we feel like we have a really good football team, right? We feel like it could be very special. We're happy with where we are right now. But that's going to be a short-lived happiness because we know what's coming up next. Obviously, Baltimore with extra time to prepare. The market's like Harbaugh with extra time to prepare. But the money's already coming on Pittsburgh. I expect that money to continue. If you're like the Steelers, grab a 4 right now. They may not be there much longer.
All right, guys, we got one game left. Next week's Monday Nighter on November 2nd, 273-274, 5:15 Pacific kick here. Tampa Bay at the New York Giants. This is another interesting handicap here, Teddy. We've seen money come in on the Bucs, now having to lay doubles on the road in the NFL, -10.5, almost across the board right now. That's the Bucs laying at New York, 47 the total in this one, Teddy.
Yeah, I mean, your value days with Tampa Bay are probably over. Back-to-back blowout wins with the Bucs. They had a big issue with penalties, and then Bruce Arians told everyone, you have to get the job done. You won't be the one doing the job. And in the last 2 games, they have a total of 4 penalties. So they've really solved those problems. Brady coming off, that was his best game as a Buc yesterday. Don't know if Mike Evans, what his health is looking like. He only targeted 3 times yesterday. It was really a non-factor. Now you have Antonio Brown coming in the mix and Evans, and who knows if when this receiving core gets healthy and up to speed, it's going to be a pretty, in theory, scary receiving core. Giants coming off, was that a season-killing loss? Not in the NFC East, it isn't. The last 2 games both been decided by a single point. I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants give them a game. And the money, again, it's nothing but Bucs money so far. That being said, you look at the sharp shops versus the square shops. Square shops are already at 11. The sharp shops still at 10, and some of them have juice to the Giants side. I don't see this line going through the roof. Look ahead, 8.5. My powering number, 9.5. And the market's 10.5 this morning. The 11s are going to get bought back. I don't think that, there's one prominent 11 out there. You can grab it. But I think it's closed in that 10.5 range, at least next Monday when we're talking about this game for Monday Night Football. I would expect the line to be in a comparable range. I don't think it's going to go through the roof. We're certainly not going to see the Giants take a ridiculous amount of money as home dogs. The home dogs in the NFL on Monday Night Football have been negative expectation plays for the better part of the last 2 decades.
And we will talk about it at the top next Monday, November 2nd, 10 a.m. Pacific time, the NFL opening line report. Huge shout out to the chat box guys, 17 Clipper, Bad Habit, Johnny Outlaw, Robert Rainey, Al as well. All you guys, welcome in, Lou. Appreciate all the comments in the chat box. Please smash the like button, guys, if you're liking the content. And if you are watching on replay, feel free to drop a line in the comments below. Love reading those. This is simulcast on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. Also podcast form, wherever you're downloading your podcast at the Sports Memo podcast. I believe we got Bet on It coming up next on the YouTube channel. Teddy, we're up against it time-wise, but is there anything you wanted to throw out there before we shut this show down?
Yeah, I want to apologize. I didn't get in the chat today and answer any of the chat questions. I said there's so much going on the sheet, I didn't get there. But thank you for all the posts. Thank you for all the and I'll do my best to answer as many as we can on a week in, week out basis. If you like the show, please tell your friends. That's all we ask. Really appreciate it. Have a great day and good luck tonight.
All right, guys, for Teddy Covers on Twitter at Teddy_covers. I'm on Twitter at Drew Martin Bets. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Best of luck with your bets. We'll talk next Monday. NFL open.